Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is Dr. Patricia Campos-Medina. I am the president of. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Patricia Campos-Medina. I am the president of Latina Civic Action. Latina Civic Action advocates for the rights of Latinas to have a seat at the table in our governments and politics, so that our community can have a voice in enacting policies that encourage economic opportunity, equity, inclusion across all areas of policymaking in our society, right here in New Jersey and in Congress. Latina Civic Action builds political power and promotes policy solutions that improves the opportunities of Latinas and our families to achieve our American dream and be driving policy that advocates for our communities and our economic prosperity. So today we are here to announce an exciting new program at Latina Civic Action, which is called Latinas Building the Bench. And this is a program that is, I would like to say that is for Latinas and by Latinas. We are here to engage in a series of conversations across all of the counties in New Jersey to figure out how we together can support each other to build the next generation of opportunities for Latinas to run for office and become elected leaders in New Jersey. So to help me have this conversation, I have four amazing Latinas who have been at the forefront of the work to engage Latino voters and to encourage Latinas to run for office. First of all, Latina Civic is an organization that is bipartisan. We support progressive Latinas who are pro-choice and protect our rights to make our own decisions on our reproductive choices. So if you are a Republican Latina who believes that women have the right to make their own choices about their bodies and when to become a mother and when to start a family, then Latina Civic is for you. We are here to give you the tools, the education, to build a network so that you can run for office. But ultimately, we fundamentally believe that Latinas, like any other woman, ought to have the right to make their own determinations on their ability to become a mother and the reproductive choices. That is a driving policy position for us at Latina Civic. So I wanted to make that clear because we are a bipartisan organization. We support all women who support the right of women to make their own choices and to drive our own policy and to build our bench and to build our seat at the table in politics. So to help me have this conversation about how we're going to build a bench in New Jersey so that we, in the next 5 to 10 years, can send a Latina to Congress, I have three amazing leaders with me today. First one, I want to welcome Karol Reese. Caro is a member of the school board in Dover. So Caro, please, I'm so happy to join you to have this conversation with me. Thank you.
It's wonderful to see you and see everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. We will get more into the reasons why you run for office, how building a network has supported you, and what words of wisdom you can give other Latinas to run. But in the meantime, I'm going to welcome also another amazing Latina who you know very well. And she's joining us all the way from Atlantic County, and it's Celeste Fernandez. Celeste?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Nice seeing you.
It's such amazing to know. This goes to show you that we could go from Morris County in Dover to Atlantic City in Atlantic County. So we're statewide Latina Civic. We're proud of that ability to make the connections for women across all of New Jersey. So another amazing leader who has been a member of Latina Civic since the founding, and she was just a little baby when that happened, I think in 2001, is Desiree Ramos Reiner, who is also running for office right now. And she's an endorsed candidate by Latina Civic Pac, which is our sister organization. Desiree?
Hi, welcome. Good to see everybody.
Awesome. So I'm going to I'm going to talk a little bit about you, and then I'm going to ask you one simple question. One of the things that we're trying to do at Latina Civic is to change the narrative that there are no qualified Latinas out there to run for office, which is usually what, unfortunately, our political leaders say when the position comes open and we're telling them, this is an opportunity to name a Latina. And they say, well, there's no qualified Latinas out there. So I want us to dispel that myth right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about who you are. And I know that there are hundreds of Carols out there and hundreds of Desirees right there and Celeste out there. So we are going to talk to them because they're the ones who need to feel empowered to step up and run for office. So let me tell you a little bit about who is Karol Ruiz. Karol Ruiz is a lawyer, a community organizer, a movement leader, a home renter, which I like that she adds that to her bio, who serves the Dover community as who's looking to serve the Dover community as a third world alderwoman. She's running for office. She has been a school board member and has driven policies to support students and community engagement in the Dover public school system. She has a record of more than 25 years of fighting for immigrant justice, criminal justice reform, and the right for everyone to have health care, including the right for women to have access to abortions. Caro, such a pleasure to meet you. Just one question before I introduce everybody else. What made you decide to run for office in 30 seconds?
Love for my community. That might seem like a very romantic answer for an elected official. Politics, like anything in life that you want to succeed at, takes a lot of work. And if you don't have love for that work, you're not going to succeed. Unlike other things in life, politics will bring out some of the ugliness in yourself and in others. And it takes love to overcome that. So love for my Dover community and the calling to speak out to against injustices. There's a lack of affordable housing, not just in Dover, but in all of Morris County, in all of New Jersey, in our entire country right now, and a disillusionment with elected officials who break promises to our community to create affordable housing and to develop in a sustainable way. So it was my love of the Dover community that overcame any doubts of why me, why now, the imposter syndrome that often creeps into us, and the naysayers. It was that love.
Awesome. I want to get back later on the naysayers, because I think that this network of Latinas building a bench for ourselves is about saying no to the naysayers. I want to go back to that. Desiree, you have been a member of Latina Civic for a long time, a supporter of all kinds of efforts of to promote the Latino community. But I want to talk a little bit about you because you've always been about the community. And sometimes when you become an elected official, you have to talk about your record. So I'm going to talk about your record and then ask you the same question that I asked Caro. You have more than 20 years. Desiree Ramos Reiner, she's running for office right now, but she has more than 20 years of experience in government and nonprofit public affairs, communications, and marketing. She serves currently as the Chief External Affairs Officer of the American Red Cross in Greater New York. In this role, she manages and shapes the organization's communications, marketing, and government and community relations strategies for a well-known nonprofit that we know in the world. Desiree Ramos Reiner is the daughter of Cuban immigrants. She was born and raised in New Jersey, where she lives with her husband and 2 children, and she's running for the Teaneck Town Council in Bergen County. So Desiree, after all the work that you've done for other elected officials, beginning with our dear Senator Fernandez, and all the other work that you did in public office, and why made you decide now that you wanted to run for office in Teaneck?
So, Patricia, as you know, because we've worked together for so long, I've always been behind the scenes, right? Pushing forward somebody else, bringing people together to have them support another candidate. And I, much like Karol, what inspired me to run right now is because I care, right? I care about the community. It's the community that I chose to raise my family in. My husband and I were lucky enough to be able to buy a house together and move into this community. Very different from where I grew up. I grew up in Union City, New Jersey, and in North Bergen, New Jersey, which are very, 60, 70% Latino communities, which was an amazing experience for me and forced my husband to learn some Spanish, I will tell you all, when we were first married. But living here and just seeing the different opportunities, different communities, and how they interact with each other, the potential of our town that is not fully being achieved right now. And I will also say serving on the planning board. So I had the opportunity to be appointed to the planning board, and it has really given me a different lens into the possibilities that come with strategic development, with smart development, the need to keep reinforcing the idea that we have a commitment as a community for affordable housing, and we need to be able, the only way to create affordable housing is really to create multifamily structures at this point. And so it's very much challenging in suburban towns to get that message across. But I think it's so important to keep our township affordable, to make it a place where, right, I can buy a house when my children, if they ever grow up and move out of the house, could, rent an apartment, which is how we lived in a rental before we moved into our home. And then as we get older, to have other housing choices, right? I may not always want to live in a multi-level house. I might want to live someplace flatter. And we need to be able, I want to be part of the driving force to create those types of opportunities for people.
Awesome. One of the things that came up to me is this idea that, for us Latinas, our issues are everybody's issues. I think our friends at the Latino Action Network always say when people ask them, what is a Latino issue? And they say, everything is a Latino issue, right? Yeah, because our community with 20% of the population, so anything that has policy related impacts our community. So I want to elevate that, because as you were talking about housing and affordability and the law for the community, it is not just, that's not a Latino issue. That's just law for where we live, right? So that's why we have, and there is a book I'm going to recommend to everybody, and we're going to put it in the resources. It's called the Latina Advantage. And that's a book by Cristina Berajano. She was a visiting professor at Center for American Women in Politics. You should read it, because what the Latina Advantage says is that Latinas have the advantage to be able to talk about the issues that the regular American voter cares about. And that we should not allow ourselves to be boxed into this electoral position that we only run on Latino districts or in Latino towns. We can run anywhere, and we can represent everybody in New Jersey because we understand the issue. We're part of the community. So with that said, I'm going to introduce Celeste Fernandez, because she lives in Atlantic County, and she has been one of those Latinas pioneers who had said, I live in Atlantic County and I can represent all the voters of Atlantic County, not just the Latino voters. So Celeste Fernandez came to the United States with nothing but her work ethic and her determination. She's from the Dominican Republic. And she came, like many of us, looking for the American dream. And she's living it, she says. She's the owner and operator of Fernandez Services, a small company based in Pleasantville, and is a founding member of Main Street Small Businesses. She is a business entrepreneur who understands the importance of making payroll at the same time that the importance of creating good jobs, which is it can be done, all business owners out there.
Yes.
She's a former employee of Unite Here, Local 54 Benefits Office, where she gained a lot of experience and understanding of the need of low-wage workers in the restaurant and casino industry. And as she moved on to become a business owner, she understood that in order to have a successful business operation, she needed to create good jobs and be part of the community that strengthens our ability to be participants in society. So, Celeste, you have run for office. You have built up a portfolio for you. What made you run for office?
We have built the bench in Atlantic County. What make us three of us, all of us that run for office, love to our community, to our Latino community, and to our people in general, because we know that it's not a secret that our Latino community is underserved and underrepresented. And we see it with the pandemic, how bad it was. And when we talk about Latino businesses, a lot of small businesses that our people own closed their doors because they didn't have little to no help, because there's little to no representation in our area and through South New Jersey. But in Atlantic County, we have no representation, the Latino community. So I was able to bring minorities and non-minorities together to work for the common goals. So to help each other. Right now, I'm working so hard to help the small businesses to obtain the financial help that they need to continue operating, to keep the door open, because those families that they take care of depend on them. They got to pay the bills, they got to feed the family, they had to keep a roof over their head, and not having no one to help you understand your needs firsthand. That's bad. So I had to be there for them. I had to be up every day. That bench is built because we needed it then to be prepared for now.
Awesome. Can you tell us, you had run for different offices. Tell me the first time you ran for office and what have you learned a step of the way?
Oh my God, what a learning experience. Whoever had run for office and is running for office right now, it's a beautiful experience. You learn a lot, especially you find needs that you didn't know people have, and how important it was to step up and say, you know what, you're not alone. You have somebody that is standing up with you and is ready to represent you and your family and your community. You're not alone in this. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
So you ran the first time you ran for Atlantic County white office, right? So tell me the positions you have run for.
the first time that I ran was in 2018, and it was as a commissioner. Back then, it was called freeholders. And
Yes.
the name was changed to the commissioner because it's coming from the systemic racism that we already know is exists in our country. But in 2019, I didn't run. I helped those that were running at that time. In 2020, I ran for the same position, commissioner at large. When I said at large, it was throughout the whole county. And it was the first time in 2018, in 2020, in 2021, when I ran, that a Latina or a person of colors was running for that position and get to the seat, almost to sit in that seat, so close. So in the history of Atlantic County, never had been a person of color in that position.
And I want, your experience actually running and building out your voter base, because every time you run, you got more votes and you got more votes and you got more votes, to the point that you went on the ballot when Donald Trump was on the ballot. And
Yes.
you actually were so close that you actually have to demand a recount yourself.
Yes.
Because there was a miscount on your ballot and your vote. So although if it wasn't for that, you could have already been a commissioner for Atlantic County. So I want to elevate that you didn't give up the first time you ran. You ran again and again, and every time you got more votes and you got very close, and I hope that you run again.
Yes, yes. Looking forward to it. I mean, and it's surprised to me that I thought people was gonna say, you know what, you ran so many times, it's okay. They continue like, why are you not running? You had to be running. I mean, they see hope. They saw hope and saw the Latina that care about the community and care about people in general. So I'm gonna run again. But it's gonna be later on down the road.
And I wanted to elevate that, Carol and Desiree, because I think that it's not just about winning. We want you all to win, but it's also about what you learn when you run.
Yes.
And about how you make your name known to voters. And voters take pride on seeing you run. So what I want to elevate is that experience of actually promoting yourself, because as women, we have a hard time talking about ourselves sometimes. So I want to go back to perhaps, Caro, you run for school board. What was it like? Because you've been a community activist for a long time, for 20 years. So what was that like for you to decide, okay, I know that I can make change being an activist, but why did you decide? What was that change that get you to say, I'm going to run for school board, and then to say, I'm going to run for the governing body of my local town? And I'm going to get to you, Desiree, with that. So you have a little bit of time to think about that answer.
Well, I was also on the ballot the same year that the former president was on the ballot. And it was a very strange night, feeling so excited for my win to the Board of Education, but sobbing all night for the loss for our entire community. So that was difficult. What led me to that decision is what leads me to many decisions, is a collective, is the support and understanding and explanation and encouragement, and sometimes a few kicks along the way of saying, this is your calling. You are good at this. You need to do this. Get out of your own way. And in our community, the Dover Board of Education had been led by a majority white, majority Republican volunteer board. And this board was making decisions over a majority. And I'm talking, we're a segregated school district of about 96% students of color. And by that, I mean mostly from Latin American countries, first generation immigrants like me, I was born in Colombia, I was not born here. And some folks who identify as African-American or as members of the Caribbean diaspora. So a very, very Latinx school community run by people who not only did not look like them, but who didn't have children in the district, and who for at least 12 years had not raised taxes because that was their priority. That was their concern. Not our students, but their taxes. And of course, if they were here, they would debate that point. But as individuals, and certainly as elected officials, our actions speak louder than our words. And while they certainly said they cared about our children and went to the school plays and, smiled for the camera and gave out hugs and chocolate roses at the school play, they voted over and over again to gut our special education program, to not fund breakfast after the bell program, to not approve that program, and take advantage of free federal funds for that. Their actions spoke to me as, we don't care for our community. But I knew I could not do that alone. None of us can do it alone. I needed to ensure that the community was speaking out for what we wanted. I certainly had my ideas, but it was really the community that got me there. A group that was then called Your Voice, just grassroots, not partisan, not connected to any funder or political party, knew that our students and our educators and our school community needed bold voices. And so we got together and started probably in 2014. And remember, I didn't run until that 2016. So we had been planning for 2 years prior to the run. And it wasn't a one and done. We planned for a slate in 2016, a slate in 2017, in 2018, in 2019, in 2020. And then, of course, the pandemic changed everything for us. But we revolutionized the Dover Board of Education to where it is now probably the most diverse Board of Education in New Jersey. We have the first trans woman elected to any office in New Jersey, Daniela Mendez, who is one of the women that from the first moment I met her, she said to me, I want to serve. How can I do that? And I'm like, run for the Board of Ed. We need candidates. And she said, yes. And so often when we ask Latinas to run, there's a string of peros, right? Of but, or I can't. And she said, yes. I have no idea how, but yes. And so that's how it was to decide on the Dover Board of Education. This is my final year, and I'm quite honestly very emotional about it. I love the people that I serve with. I love the community I serve for. And I'm comfortable. I understand Robert's Rules of Order and the way that a Board of Education works. And often that's my inner bell. Okay, you're comfortable. It's time to move on and make room for others to lead and shift. And so running for the Board of Aldermen, I'm a political science major, right? Politics is something I love. So running for office has always been something that I knew I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Running in my own community is difficult because everyone knows you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I ran because I had to.
Yeah.
I know that the Board of Education is in a better place now and will continue to expand and grow and improve our school community. And it's time for me now to bring what I learned in those 6 years to the Board of Aldermen, because we're in a housing crisis and the majority of the current board is voting in favor of the developer instead of the people. And I'm not afraid to do what is right. And the transition from activist to elected official has not been as difficult for me because I've kept it. I am an advocate for affordable housing, for education, for women's rights, whether I am in front of the dais or behind it.
Awesome. One thing that keeps coming back as you all talk is the idea of service and being of service. And I think that's a common thing for women who run for office. Mm-hmm. We don't run because we want to have power. We want the resources. We run because we want to serve. We want to solve a problem. So I want to elevate that because that's what matters. That's what's going to make our government better. And that's when women serve for public office, we make the difference in driving policies that impact people's lives. So we at Latina Civic want to create this bench for people like you to share your experience with other Latinas, to help them solve the peros, the questions. How do we do this? How do you go about it? And create this table of discussions in every county and a network to support each other, to actually just build our self-esteem and also support each other. And we're going to get to that. How do we support each other and connect each other to what we have in our sister organization, which is the Latina Civic Pac, where we actually support you with political money for your campaigns. And you all are Latina Civic Pac endorsed candidates. So we're proud to have raised money and supported you. And you're also, in so many ways, graduates of our training programs with the Ready to Run and at Ella Wins Academy, that is part of the Center for American Women in Politics Training Academy. So I'm going to put that information at the end. But Desiree, you went from being a professional in this business, helping politicians sharp their message and be clear on their message and know how to respond to inquiries from reporters or from the opposition, to actually deciding I want to be the one doing the message. So why are you running for your township council?
Well, I want to pick up again on what Karol said about serving, right? I think that there are many ways that we can serve the community, right? Sometimes you serve the community quietly, and sometimes you serve the community out front. And I think different phases of your life allow you to do different things. And so, I think when we think about serving in terms of building a bench, we really have to talk to Latinas about all of the opportunities that there are, right? Being a member of the PTA, if you have kids in school, is a way to serve. Being active with your church is a way to serve. Sitting on advisory boards and statutory boards in your town government or at your county level or at the state level is an excellent way to serve that actually drives a whole lot more policy decisions than anybody thinks about, right? A lot of these meetings happen at times that people aren't necessarily paying attention, and there are a lot of decisions being made in there where our voices are needed. And running for elected office is a big way to serve, and it's very public and very out front and very different for me. If you know me, I'm I'm an introvert, although my job is external. And so it has been one of the biggest things I've learned during this time is how to talk about myself, right? I, like many Latinas, was raised to, be very nice and very polite and very quiet at times. And it has been a big thing to talk about myself in the first person, to use the I instead of the we or the us has been a big challenge for me during this time. But I will say, the more Latinas we gather together, the more we really do support one another. There is another wonderful Latina who's running in my town as well, Leticia Garcia. And we are having a good time meeting people in the community and talking about things and really thinking about how our town can help serve everybody through the different hats that we wear and the different lenses that we have as individuals.
Awesome. And I think that that's what this Latinas Building the Bench is all about, so that we, all of us, create our own networks locally to have these conversations and support each other. So Latinas Building the Bench, I'm going to talk a little bit of what it is. We are planning to go to every county in New Jersey and ask women like you to host a table. It can be in your house. It can be at a local business owner place, facility. We want to support Latino-owned businesses whenever we go to a county, and bring a group of women in that county together and say, would you run for office? Would you want to serve? How can we support you? What are the impediments that you see? And for us to become a network that supports each other and raises money for each other. Because one of the biggest impediments that we have as a Latina community, not just Latina women, is this belief that we as Latinos cannot raise political money for our own candidate. And we at Latina Civic PAC have demonstrated, because we built our PAC since 2001, and we have supported candidates up and down. We went from having less than 3% legislative representation on a state assembly and Senate to now being at 9%, which is still underrepresented. But we went from just having a handful of elected officials to actually having Senator Teresa Reese, who has the second highest position on the New Jersey Legislative Senate, and Nellie Paul, who also has a very important position in the Senate, and having a number of key Latina legislators. But that's not enough. We want to have more Latinas running for mayor, and we had Cindy Matute Brown, who cannot join us tonight. She's a councilwoman in West Orange. She will be hosting our first Latinas Building the Bench gathering in West Orange. She actually was there was a local incident in West Orange, and she had to go there, so she's not here with us. But she's running. She has been a councilwoman, and now she decided she's ready to run for mayor. So we need more Latinas running for mayor, and we're excited that she runs. So what would you say is in your own experience, what was the biggest impediment for you to make the choice to run for office, or the biggest thing that held you back for a while, and how you overcame that? Who wants to?
I can go first. Like we was talking about before, serving our community. So we like to serve. When it's come to politics, our community don't trust politicians. So we didn't want to be that person, and I didn't want to be that person that, hey, you don't have no trust in me now that I'm in the other side. No, that's a service. I still gonna serve, but now on the political side. That was holding me back a little bit. But at the same time, if we are not the one at the table creating policies and regulations and law and resolutions to help our community, we're not going anywhere. So I had to make that jump and take that leap of faith for the community, for our people.
And I wanna elevate that because a lot of Latinos might be hesitant to trust politics because maybe their experiences back home, but also because those politicians don't talk to them or they don't connect with them. So data shows and studies shows that Latinos want to see people that look like them run for office. So I want to clarify that because Latinos are people who want to vote, want to see you run. They want to get excited about you running. So I'm glad that you took the leap and say, I can be trusted because I come from you. So I'm glad you did that. Caro, what was the biggest impediment for you to run and how did you overcome that?
I have been very lucky to have had many mentors from Lupe, from Wind of the Spirit, from progressive circles that allowed me to be true to myself and that helped build me up to know that if and when I ran, I would be true to my principles and would continue on the same trajectory. So while I recognize that for many, that's a challenge, that wasn't my challenge. But what was my challenge was the political machine in New Jersey and the money that it takes to run a campaign. I had a very tough time searching my own soul and making peace with my own soul, knowing that $20,000 or $30,000 for a political campaign could fund the security deposit for rents of people that I work with every day in the community. That I could think of so many more ways to spend $20,000 than on political signs and campaigns and paying canvassers was my thought at that moment. And shifting to understand that ensuring that canvassers are, if they are volunteers, but also low income college students, what stipends can that political pot of money that I need to work so hard to raise, what can that do to support their education and to bring it full circle? And that those canvassing and political literature and signs that is a different way of serving and a different investment in the community. But I still think that, for example, I'm running in the 3rd Ward of Dover. We're talking about, 1,400 registered voters. It's the money in politics is unconscionable in my opinion. And it just should not cost that much money for any of us to be elected. And on the Board of Education, we ran by selling empanadas and knocking on every door, and a team of 50 volunteers who did it for the love, but who had the time and the will and the skill to do it without the compensation. Then that's not going to be true in every campaign. And also the line and the turn. Whose turn is it to run? Who gets the have you kissed all the right rings and have you dotted all the T's and crossed all the I's in terms of the political labyrinth, not to upset this person and not to be too trustful of that person. So the political labyrinth in the machine was difficult for me. And I was very naive at first, like, well, I'm just going to run. I know everyone in town. I've been a community organizer. I'll just get on the ballot and knock the doors and run. And that just isn't how it works.
Yeah, I want to highlight that you actually said, $20,000, and I want to elevate that you were able to raise them. So that shows that you can raise money to run your own campaign. So the fear of asking money, it actually can be overcome because overall Latinos, we do ask for money. We give money to the church. We give money to the local pantry. We look money to everything. And we as Latinas just need to start asking money from our community to support us to run for office. So you were able to raise the money to run an effective campaign, maybe not the fancy flyers and all the fancy stuff, but you were able to raise it. And I want to highlight that we are Latina Civic Pac, which is the former Lupe Pac, by the way. We have rebranded and we are now Latina Civic. We we have our PAC that gives candidates like you some support with contributions to help you build the power to go and ask for more money. So our goal when we support all the candidates like you is to give you some credibility by saying our PAC believes that you can do this, go and raise more money. So I want to elevate that you did raise $25,000, so you can raise $250,000 if you put your mind to it for the next one. So Desiree, what was your biggest challenge or your biggest challenge and how you overcame it?
So my biggest challenge really was getting comfortable with asking other people for help, right? I like to think myself as very self-sufficient, right? Child of immigrants, first in my family to finish college. I, had to figure out how to forge my own way so often. And so stopping to ask for help, stopping to ask for money is not something I'm accustomed to doing either. And so having lots of conversations with friends across the state, reconnecting with a lot of people, it made me remember, right? Like I have a community, I have people who have worked with me and have supported me throughout my life in all of these different ways, right? And this is just another step, another chapter in the book of my life. And so, I can write all of my friends into this chapter as well. And then, we can all turn the page together and start a new chapter. But it was really hard for me to really find the courage to make the asks. And I will say my husband has been a wonderful supporter and cheerleader throughout all of this process. And he has, pitched in sort of in all different ways and, helping around the house, helping with the kids, letting, reminding me when I have to do events, like have this conversation with you tonight. So I will say, he has been so supportive for me. And I don't think that I would have been able to be as successful without him. And my mother has come and watched my children as well. And my sister has, been reaching out to folks on my behalf. And so it really has been this whole support network all together. I had another mom in town yesterday, took my headshots. So there's just lots of people who are, raising their hands to help and saying yes when I ask for things. But it was really hard for me to overcome the sort of, I don't know if it's pena or something. I just felt like,
pena, sí.
Yeah, I felt strange asking for help. Yeah. Always willing to give help, but I felt strange asking for help.
I bet that you have no problem ask for people to help others, to help
Absolutely not. Else. Absolutely. I'm the first one. I'm the first one to offer help, right? I'm the first one to give help, but asking for myself was very, very difficult to overcome.
Well, I want to, you all highlighted 3 different challenges that Latinas have. And I don't think just Latinas, just women in general. This whole idea of, do I ask for money? How do I ask for money? And in the sense that we could do with that money a million other things. So that for that, we have a whole training in the Ready to Run series and Ella Wins that teaches you about fundraising and the strategies fundraising and how to ask for money. So please go to the Ready to Run training series, sign up, and please stay on the workshop on fundraising and learning how to ask for money. It will change your life. Because there is a strategist to do it, and one of the strategies is that you just have to ask. If you get money 30% of the time, you're doing well. So let's sign up for Ready to Run the fundraising strategies. The other one is this idea of this, and I think this is a cultural dynamic of me as the elected official. How do I transform myself from being an outsider to an insider? And I think that you, Celeste, talk about that. And perhaps it's sort of like the framing, like what is it that I'm going to do differently when I become an elected officer? And that's sort of about defining your why and defining why you're running. And there's also a training on Ready to Run. Enea Wins about defining why you're running and understanding the impact that you have for your community on doing that. So we also help you with the messaging, with the understanding. The other thing, and this comes to the issue that Karol raised about overcoming the machine politics of New Jersey, right? And that's one thing that the Latinas Building the Bench is trying to accomplish by having conversations of support for ourselves. Because if we wait to be asked to run, we will never be asked to run, right? So we have to say we're running. One of our founders, the founder of Lupe, which was Grisel Camacho, who is one of the founders of Lupe, now Latina Civic, with Zulima Farber, who is our first Attorney General of New Jersey, Afro-Latina from Cuba, and Noemi Velasquez and Maria Vizcarrondo, all the founders. When they founded Lupe back in 2001, now Latina Civic, they actually, all of them have worked many years for candidates. They have run the field, they have run the get out the vote, they have fundraised money for the candidates. And then at the end of the election, they will go to them and say, we want you to do this. And then the elected official will say, well, my priorities are this, so I'll get to you. So that's when they decided, why are we running ourselves, right? Why are we running our own candidates? And that was the creation of Lupe, now Latina Civic, and the Latina Civic Pac, that we have to build our own machine in a way, a machine that supports other women, that invests in other Latinas, and that becomes a mentoring network for other Latinas. So Latinas Building a Bench is about all of you, Desiree, and you, Celeste, and you, Ruiz, becoming a mentor to other Latinas who perhaps are having doubts about whether they want to run for office. So what would you tell a Latina? I mean, you are all amazing leaders. You are attorneys, you are business owners, you are a PR communications experts. There's many of you out there. So what would you tell a Latina who thinks that they don't know how to do this? What would you tell them, Celeste?
Well, one thing I can tell you, when I started, I didn't know how to do it, but I had to have the desire. I had the desire to help, to make changes in our community, and I had my why. The why had to be stronger than you. Is to self, the love to our community. That was my why. And change this situation, having representation in position of powers. So that was my why. So just jump in. You learn along the way. It's not easy. It's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be worth it. I was blessed enough to have Lupe Pac, not Latino Civic, by my side, and they help me, guide me along the way with everything, give me all the tools, skills, and help me with the money. So literally I was able to succeed the first time. I didn't sit there, but we make a lot of changes and a lot of progress because Lupe Pac, Latina Civic today, was there by my side. They're always gonna be somebody, and those local women's organizations that jump in to help. The only things you have to do is jump in, do it, do it, do it, do it. We need you, and we make changes. And real quick, because Desiree said before, we have problems. When you ask me, "But you run 3 times, what happened?" I don't know where to start. I'm confused. No, because I did so much, and we changed so much that I don't know where to start. And I had to share this with you in 2020, when the recount, Patricia Campos mentioned it before, there was a change in United States law on how to do the recount. The law was changed of Fernandez versus Alani County Board of Election, because I asked for a recount. It was denied to me twice. I went 3 times to be able and fought for 8 months to be able to have the recounts. We was apart, me and the incumbent, we were apart 336 votes. That's 0.3%. That recount had to be done because we had issues with 27,000 votes. Okay, 8 months. But I didn't stop there. I kept fighting and I jumped into run. I was fighting for the recount and running again because I wasn't going to stop. But what? I didn't get the seat. But look at the changes. Now there's a law in the history of the United States of America with a Latina last name that represent not just my last name, all of us. So jump in. It's not the seat, it's the journey and what you accomplish along the way.
Thank you for that example. And I remember that when you were debating whether to challenge the vote count, you called us a Latina Civic Pac. And I remember Laura Matos and myself and Arlene Quiñones Perez got on the phone with you. And we said, you believe that you can win a recount? And you said, yes, I know I can win a recount. So I said, okay, these are the lawyers you can talk to, and these are the people you can reach out to so that to help you fund it. So that is the network, right? That is the network, because when you were doubting yourself to whether you had the ability to challenge the count, you call us, Latina Civic, and you said, I want to do this. What do you think I should do? And that's the mentoring. Because you call us because you knew us, but it could have been somebody else calling you for advice. Just like Karol, I'm sure you get a lot of women calling you for advice. So that's the mentoring that we give to each other, and the ability for people like Arlene Quiñones Perez and Laura Matos to say, okay, you talk to this lawyer, or you talk to this person, or let me talk to the party leader in the county to make sure that they give you all the support that you need. That's the network of Latina Civic Action. And that's what we're building here, and we want to build in every county. So, Desiree, what in this world of building a network, what has been more important to you in terms of the training, the political money? What has been helpful to you as you build this networking, as we build a network for the next generation of Latinas?
So I will say the training, I've participated in Ready to Run in bits and pieces over the year, some in person, some online during the pandemic. And I learned something different every single time. And I think those lessons sort of like just live in my brain every single day. And I think about them without really recognizing it. But, you know, the ability to pick up the phone and ask for support, to ask for the endorsement of Latina Civic Pac really has been, it was so empowering. I think that the day that you announced that I was endorsed, it was one of those days where we had a lot of challenges that day, and sort of hearing about the endorsement really just filled me with joy again and gave me sort of the wind that I need to make it through to the next day. So I think, you know, every single conversation has been inspiring. Every time I've been able to go door to door and talk to all of my neighbors and meeting so many Latinos who live in Teaneck and who have lived in Teaneck for a long time and or who have just moved in. I've met several people who sort of had the same journey I did, growing up in Hudson County and now moving over here. But each of those conversations has inspired me as well. So I think I've found strength in so many different pieces throughout this journey that it really is about the journey, Celeste. I agree 100%.
Caro, what would you tell a Latina is the most important step that they need to take to run for office?
Know yourself and look in the mirror. For me, it was journaling. We have women in general, Latinas in general, but all of us have doubts. And journaling worked for me in overcoming my fears and understanding what have I already overcome and how is that going to inform my work as a candidate and if elected as an elected official. And I enjoy writing. I do free flow journaling, but even just a bullet point, if writing is not your thing, or voice memos, if writing is not your thing at all, what is the person currently in that seat doing for our community? What would you do for our community, different or more of? And what do you bring to the table? And oftentimes, well, I'm not old enough. I'm only 25. There's a whole other experience that a 25-year-old is going to bring. There's a courage that comes in our 20s that I think as we get older, some of us let go of, right? Or I'm just a mom. And no one is just a mother or just a parent. That is like 112 jobs in one. But that brings something. You don't have to be an attorney, although of course being an attorney allows you a different lens and a connection with the law that someone that isn't an attorney might have. But you don't have to be an attorney. You don't have to be a community organizer, although of course being a community organizer brings with it a connection with the community. You don't have to be a teacher. You don't have to be, fill in whatever it is that you think you're not. What you have to be is willing to do a lot of work on yourself and with the community and for the community, and willing to be humble, because as an elected official generally, but certainly as a woman and as a Latina who now is, as Latina elected officials, we are a minority of a minority in this world, in this country, in this state. And you will be, if Patricia Campos-Medina does something, it lifts us all up. If she's criticized for something, it's like, oh, there's a Latina. It's not fair. It shouldn't be that way. But we know that, we carry that. And so you have to strengthen yourself to know that I am in this with my sisters, and that when you make a mistake, because you will, we all do, we're human, that you have kept those women in your circle, even when you disagree with them. The people that have supported me have been my mentors, have been my family, my spouse, my friends. They've also been people I disagree with vehemently. I've had Republicans support me because we agree on that one thing, that one issue, or sometimes because they just really dislike the opponent that much. So I would say really know yourself, dissect yourself, strengthen yourself, and lean on others, both the people that you love and trust, and learn from those that maybe you think you don't have something in common with, and don't burn that bridge. You can disagree and you can compete without making enemies. Maybe you will make some enemies. That's the name of the political game, but certainly strive for understanding.
Awesome. I always said that if you are not changing something, then there's always going to be somebody who doesn't like the change you're making. So if you're just going along, then people are not going to pay attention to you. So if you're trying to change something, then some people will not like what you're trying to do. So, and I think that as long as you're true to yourself and what your vision is, I think that in politics, there's no permanent enemies. There's just permanent interests. So I remember that. And we have to be aware of what our interests are and understand that at the local level, policies are actually what matters, right? At the national level, we have this partisan division between who supports Trump and who Trump hates Trump. But at the local level, it's about how do we make our communities livable and how do we make our communities affordable. So let's focus on that, because at that point, it's about the transactions of making improvements in policy. So I want to close with saying that what we want to be able to have with Latinas Building the Bench is these conversations at the local level, county by county. So our first Latina Building the Bench discussion is going to be in Essex County on Thursday, October 27. It's going to be hosted by our very own Latina Civic Pac endorsed elected official, Cindy Matute Brown. She's a councilwoman in West Orange. She's also running for mayor, by the way. But this has nothing to do with that. This has something to do with her sharing her experience with other Latinas in Essex County about how she went about building a platform for herself and building alliances for herself in Essex County. So we'll invite you to come to that conversation on April 27th. Please visit our social media and our webpage for all the details on our first Essex County gathering on October 27th at 7 p.m. You have to RSVP to get the instructions of where to go, but that's where it's going to be. Our second gathering is going to be in Atlantic County, and it's going to be hosted by our very own Celeste Fernandez. So Celeste, why don't you just tell us a little bit of what you're planning in Atlantic County? And like the Essex County gathering, we're going to put all the details on our social media. But Celeste,
yes. We had to build the bench, the strong community. We had to support each other and share our experience like we are doing now, county by county. Especially here, we don't have a lot of representation. Again, leave it alone being a Latina, being a woman. So we had to bring you over here, ladies, so that we together can support our Latinas so they can start running for position of power, for a school board that is needed, as a councilwoman, every level of government. We need in every county representation again. So we're going to get together. We're going to mingle. We're going to be in a restaurant. The information is going to come in soon. And we're going to bring Alani County to that restaurant. Every woman, every Latina around, we planning to bring it over. We building a big bench.
Yeah, excellent. And that is on November 15 or 16. We'll just check our social media. Yes. And because Desiree and Caro are running on November 7th, we have given them a break from hosting one, but they are already committed to hosting one later in the spring. So we're going to be in Morris County with Caro Reese. Hopefully she will be the elder woman by then. And our first Latina chair of the Democratic Party in Morris County, Amalia Duarte, which is another person we will be honoring. She had agreed to host a Morris County gathering, so we'll check that out. In December, we're going to be in my home county of Hunterdon County. So we are turning, we are getting Latinas in Hunterdon County to run with our Hunterdon County Democratic Chair, Lincoln Yones Perez. So we'll be hosting you in Hunterdon County in December. And then we already have Camden County for January. So at some point, we're going to have Bergen County. Desiree, you have to give me a date. And then we're going to be in Mercer County in March. And then we're going to be in Mammoth County around May and June. So we are going to, our commitment is to go to every county in the next 12 months. If you are a Latina who wants to host a discussion in your home, in a local restaurant, please email us. Visit our website at latinacivicAction.com. Email us and tell us, I want to host a conversation, and we will give you all the tools, all the data. We will promote the gathering, because this is about empowering you to have these conversations in your hometown, in your living room. And then we will connect you to the training through Ready to Run and AA Wins. We will connect you to the fundraising and the PAC through our Latina Civic PAC. We'll connect you to the mentoring of all the Latinas that we know are in elected office and want to be your mentor. This is about you taking control of building the next generation of Latina leaders. So when political leaders retire, a position opens, they no longer can say, there's no Latinas who want to run. We don't know where they are. There's no qualified Latinas. Those are all excuses. We don't believe them anymore, right? Do we believe that excuse? We don't. So we want to bring you all out and say, these are all the Latinas in your county. Choose, pick, elevate them. And we will support them, because we all building the bench together. So that's what Latina Building the Bench is. Stay tuned. Go to our website, sign up, host a discussion in your house. We will come to you. And Finally, we cannot do this without the support of our PAC. On October 18, we are having a PAC fundraiser at Las Marias in New Brunswick. We are honoring Amalia Duarte, who is the second chair of the Democratic Party in Morris County in New Jersey. So we're going to honor her. And Nili Silva, who is a labor leader and the first Latina to run for lieutenant governor. So we want to elevate her story, and we're going to honor our compadre Raj Farik, who has been a supporter of our efforts to run Latinos for office. So join us on October 18th at Las Marias Restaurant. Also go to the Latina Civic PAC website for details on that fundraiser. Finally, before we close, New Jersey has 20% of Latino representation of Latino population. Our legislative bench is only about 9% of Latino representation. Our representation at the local level, city council, mayors, elected officers, even at the party level, is less than 4%. Tell me why representation matters. Because we at Latina Civic are committed to changing those numbers, and we have a plan that in the next 10 to 5 years, by the next census, we were gonna increase the local representation by supporting Latinas to run. But in your own words, and in one sentence, why does representation matter for New Jersey and for the United States?
In the interest of time, I can start, Patricia, and it's maybe cliche, but you can't be what you can't see. I was an undocumented immigrant, and I remember in the 5th grade, I wanted to be president of the United States. And my teacher, who had no idea that I wasn't born in the United States, said, of course you can be president of the United States. And I believed her. Even though I knew no woman and no Latina had been president, I believed her. And then I learned that in order to be president, you certainly couldn't be an undocumented immigrant. You had to have been born in the United States. And I realized, as a child, she lied to me, right? And that then when I was in college and my philosophy professor said, you should be a lawyer. No, I can't. Somebody told me that lie before, right? I can't. And when others told me, you should go to this Ready to Run program, you should be an elected official, I can't. Somebody lied to me before. And then I met Juan Cartagena, who is a brilliant attorney and a judge and leader in Latino justice. And he spoke Spanish to me. And I was like, what? We can be lawyers, right? And then I met Senator Teresa Ruiz, who is an elected official here in New Jersey. And not only is she Latina, she went to Drew University like I did, and her last name is Ruiz like mine. So it's like, I'm seeing it right in front of me that it is possible. And it just completely took away that subconscious I can't to see someone like me doing what I wanted to do, but wouldn't even admit it to myself that I wanted. So I know that there are so many young women, young Latinas who can lead, and it could just take meeting someone like Desiree, someone like Celeste, someone like me to say like, oh yeah, she can do it. Yeah, I can do that too. Because we need to be seen in order for our entire community to be represented, for education to be at the forefront, for family to be at the forefront, for justice to be at the forefront.
Awesome.
And it's matter because, see, our God-given rights as women have been taken away, what we do with our bodies, by a majority of men. Okay? So it matters. Our rights, God-given rights, taken away from us. Get up and run. Latina, get up and run.
Wrong Latinas run. Desiree?
So I think representation is important because our lived experiences are unique. And so the ideas that I bring to the table, the perspectives I bring to the table, the innovations I'm going to bring to the table are going to be different from anybody who doesn't have my lived experience as a Latina, as a first generation college graduate, as the daughter of immigrants. I think those different things that all make me who I am are the experiences that are going to bring the ideas that are going to help move our community forward.
Excellent. Representation matters because we have to see each other in elected office, and we have to drive our own policies. So thank you for stepping up and running, and thank you for being a role model for those other Latinas that are coming behind us. And thank you for agreeing to be part of this bench, Latinas Building the Bench, because it's going to build the bench, and we're going to build the table, and we're going to build the
mansion.
The mansion for all of us to drive our own policy priorities. So thank you so much. Please stay. We're part of this family. We're going to be connected to you for hosting these gatherings and for mentoring other Latinas who want to run for office. Please, to everybody who's watching us, visit the website of Ready to Run at the Center for American Women in Politics. Sign up for Ella Wins. It's in March. Sign up for all the training. It's not just one training. There's a series of trainings on fundraising, on your message, on field programming, on building a network. Just go to Ready to Run. There's other support organizations. Emerge is another organization that supports women running for office. Latinas Represent at the national level also supports Latinas with skills and training. And Ella Wins. Ella Wins is the Elections and Leadership Latina Academy that we have partnered up with the Center for American Women in Politics to run and to train the next generation of Latina elected officials at the local level to run for city council, for mayor. Join us, support Latina Civic, support Latina Civic Pac, and let's build the next generation of Latina leaders for New Jersey and for the United States. And we will send a Latina to Congress in the next 10 years with your help and your support. Thank you for joining, and see you soon. See you on October 27th in Essex County.